Out of pocket, what I need to pay is the electrical, the plumbing, the front step, the back step, getting the skirting under the mobile home. All in, that cost me about $6,000. I had 4 to start with. I only spent 2 out of my pocket. Merry Christmas, daughter. Got the mobile home sold for her for $23,000 cash.
What's up, Forte community? This your girl G. Coleman, CEO and founder of Browskin Girl, located in Waldorf, Maryland, and Dallas, Texas.
How do you like your grits?
Sugar. You put sugar in your grits.
You put sugar. We starting off the podcast line. That's what.
So my plaque, I got a Beyonce plaque. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we had two number ones, right? But then the other plaque I got is for Lil Nas X. So Lil Nas X. I'll show it to you.
What's up, world? This is your favorite chef. Chef X is in the building. I've worked with some of the most amazing talents in the world, from Cardi B, Offset, Negative Style, Your Money Bag, Eddie Murphy, you name it, I've done it. And I just want to say shout out to the Forte podcast.
The types of assets that I purchase are multifamily apartment buildings, right? So I'm typically looking at buildings, complexes that are 100 units or more. The largest that I've ever been a part of is right at 300 units. Come on.
Anything you do that's worth succeeding, you always got to take a step down to go up. Mm-hmm. Even if you're going to go win the lottery, you got to take a deficit of $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, however much you spend it on a lottery. So your bank account takes a deduction before you shoot up. So before you shoot up to $20, $30 million, your bank account needs to take a deficit, whether it's gas to go to these meetup.com locations, whether it's to go put on a suit or buy a suit if you don't have a suit, to be able to be presentable in circles, right? Or to get a laptop or to get a printer. Like, it's always going to be deduction before you see a production.
I want you to know that if you have a desire to be great, yes, the greatest among you is a servant.
I'm Bo Wheeler, owner of Arthur Wheeler Experience Company, and y'all are tuned in to the Forte Podcast.
Welcome to the Forte Podcast. I am your co-host, Dominic Epps.
And I'm your co-host, Randall Monfiston.
And we are here to dive into your lane of greatness to discover what comes easy for you that may not be easy for all others.
Everyone's a genius, from the 9-to-5 employee to the Fortune 500 billionaire. We're here to highlight those attributes through interviews and dialogue with what? Amazing guest.
But I got one question for you, my brother.
What's that, bro?
What's your forte? Let's
go.
All right, so y'all know we are known for, whenever we got to pivot, we're going to pivot, right? So we're going to do this thing right quick, man. This is how we're doing it. We're live on Zoom right now and not our normal, but it's all good because we have an amazing guest on the show today, the one, the only, Bianca Ross. Come on, Fortales, make some noise. All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Bianca, we're so glad that you're here on the show, on the Forte Podcast. And normally what we do, we like to get to know our guests. So Randall's going to start off with the first question, right? And then we're going to get right into this thing.
All right.
So, Bianca, what's your forte? What is the thing that you do that you find easy that everyone looks at you like, how does she do that?
Probably emotional intelligence. Just really good at reading people, understanding people, what their why is, right? Without them having to say or do anything. So that would definitely be it. And it helps professionally and personally. I can say that.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where you are today. What we like to do with our listeners, our viewers, kind of give them a journey. Where did you start? How did you like your upbringing, your childhood? What's your childhood like? And then we like trying to paint the picture of any of that influenced who you are today. So brothers, sisters, kids, where were you born, raised, things like that?
Yeah, so I was born Fort Stewart, Georgia. My mother was active duty Army. Both parents were actually really raised when I was at a young age in Savannah, Georgia, the seaport. Shout out. And and I went to a lot of schools. I think I went to like 12 schools from K to 12. and which helped me adapt, which is probably why I'm good at, reading people or understanding, just having to be aware of my environments. But I have an older brother. He's 2 years older than me. We were raised by a single mother who was in the army. We moved around a bit and always played basketball, right, with my brother and really the boys in the neighborhood. And I was always a big lover of music, a big lover of writing. I'd say when I was younger in Savannah, and if anybody knows Savannah, Savannah does not progress with time usually. Like you can go to the west side of Savannah and they still got on black forces and a big black tee and some khakis, right, and some Dickies. But and the green moss trees. But I mean, I love it. At a young age, never really fit in, right? I had some family members who, I was weird. I was listening to NERD and listening to, Camouflage or Boosie or whatever. And so that's what just made me know that I need to create my environment and that I have to be secure in myself from a very, very, very young age. And then go from, older. I ended up after college, after undergrad, I commissioned to be an officer in the Army. And so now I'm a captain going to major. And so now I was, at undergrad, I was at a HBCU and then dealing with the Army,
You
which
come
is
on, shout it out. Shout it out. Which ace?
Oh, CAU, Clark
Okay.
Atlanta University, home of, where Dr. W.B. Du Bois shot it out, where's that, and definitely big on that. But as you can see, a big contrast between that and the Army, and being a Black woman, regardless of industry or sector, in a leadership position is a task. But again, seeing myself, as an outlier, and just being secure with fighting whatever battles and being myself and never questioning that. And so that's what has made me very clear on my purpose or when I need to pivot, like you guys say,
Yeah.
and find what my forte is, right? What makes me tick, what makes me boom. And I chose the Army because looking for stability, right? Probably coming from a single mother. My mother, she had a high school degree, and she never really told us you can be anything you want to be, but what she did always preach and say is save your money. The best thing about being grown is doing what the hell you want to do. And when you're 18, you're out. So, and so it was very clear to me from a very, very young age that, hey, I needed to make it on my own and I would need to make it by myself. And that's what I've done. I've, built a pretty good life for myself, bought my first home at 21, second property land at 23 in Atlanta proper. I've lived in Italy, but I've owned a row home on Capitol Hill and paid for 2 cars cash. And so, but now I'm
Hold on,
trying to
hold on, hold
pivot.
on.
Nah, yeah. She tried to. I like how she
Hold
just
on, hold on.
she dropped the small flex and just kept
I
on
mean, like
rolling.
first home, you purchased your first home at what age?
At 21.
21. Second home at 22.
Well, land, the second property was land,
Okay,
which I still
okay.
have. Look,
Yeah,
I'm TikTok. You know how the Chinese manufacturers on TikTok talking about like the
yeah,
clothes and stuff.
yeah.
I wasn't interested in the clothes, but when I saw them container homes pop up, I said, "Let me look. I got some land. I need to throw this on."
Mm.
So I'm looking into that definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
Container homes. That's
yeah,
Dom. We need to talk
yeah.
about that. That came
Modular
across my
homes,
mind.
yes, yes.
So I want to back up a little bit because you kind of gave us a lot, right? You gave us
Mhm.
a lot. I want to back it up a little bit though. So how was life for you as a teenager, middle school, high school, right? Uh,
Mhm.
did you fight a lot, right?
Mhm.
Talk to us. Let us know.
Um, I, me and my brother fought a lot. So I'm 6 feet, right? My brother, he's probably now 5'9", but growing up, maybe he was a little bit taller than me, and we were the same height. But we always fought a lot from when I was in second grade to older. But other than that, I've never been a big confrontational person. Very into sports. After at a young age, maybe, well, from what people say, I was probably always outspoken, always had my own opinion. And even as a young age, I knew that, what Black people preach to kids of behave or, being quiet, that wasn't necessary. That was more of a plantation mentality, right? And not really a mentality that we as a people, need to have to grow. So at a very young age, I mean, I was definitely my own individual. I'll let you guys know two stories that kind of will, I guess, talk to, you know, some of my values. So one is in my upbringing. One is when I was probably seventh grade, my mother dropped me off at the library, public library in Savannah, which is, almost on the other side of town. She left me. It was in the morning, right? She left, and it was probably the end of the day. And I'm looking for her. I've been there for hours, right? And I'm calling family members and stuff. Have you seen my mom or whatever? My mother intentionally, she came at the end of the day, and it was like, I'm picking up, she pulls up in expedition. I'm sitting outside because they just locked up the library, right? I'm looking like a damn orphan. And then she's like, yeah, get in the car, get in the fucking car. You know what I'm saying? Then the truck. So I hop in the truck. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I've been in this library for 8 hours, right? And then she was like, what you gonna see? You've been there for 8 hours. You gonna, what are you, stupid? You could have walked home and been home by now. But that was the mentality of my mother, and that is how I grew up, right? And that does, like what they say, pressure, what makes diamonds or, burst pipes.
Yeah.
But let me speak to, and I think that happens a lot in our community, right? But on the opposite side, what that did to me, probably 2 years later, ninth grade, my mother, she was moving back to Virginia. We're moving back up to Virginia. She retired out the Army. She wanted to get a government gig on the military base. So I stayed in Savannah with some family just for that summer for a couple months, 2 months or so before she, got the place and everything set up. So I'm with my aunt. I was with my aunt at a grocery store one day, and it was a small town in Guyton, Georgia, like 40 minutes, I think, north of Savannah. They don't even got a Walmart or a traffic light. It's like an IGA gas station, food store, or whatever it's called. And we're in the grocery store one day, and my aunt probably went to sixth grade. She passed a couple years ago, but she washed clothes for a hospital. And we were in this grocery store, and I was just looking crazy. She buying food, and I looked over at something. It was those watermelon rings that are like, a quarter, or were a quarter, probably still then. And so I'm kind of looking at it crazy, and she's like, "What? You want it? Get it, right?" But that's just not how I raised to just grab anything. So maybe the next week I'm at her house in the trailer, and I hear her coming with groceries, and she calls my nickname, and which I'm not gonna say because I don't like it. But anyway,
Come on,
my
make that a
hating
Forte exclusive. Come on,
my
make that a Forte
hating
exclusive.
no, my old hater cousins used to call me this. Anyway, it got to do with colorism. I'm not gonna do it. But anyway, so I hear her the groceries, and she calls my nickname. And I come back, to the kitchen, and she says, "Hey," so my aunt is always very rough, right? She was always, she wasn't a soft or whatever. She had a very, 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 very tough life. And she says, "Hey, here, this what you wanted, right? Ain't this the one?" And she had those 25-cent little, watermelon rings. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, thank you." And I went back into my little cousin's room that I was in, and I just cried. And
Wow.
I just cried and cried and cried
Wow.
because I thought it was so thoughtful, and I appreciated it so much. And it was only a quarter.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was your life. How many books did you read during those 8 hours at the library? Like, what were you doing? How?
I don't even remember, but probably not many books. I was probably on the internet, probably browsed through some, just trying to keep myself busy, to be honest with you. After the first 2.5 hours, I was probably expecting for, my mom to come back and be there.
Right, right.
So, yeah, yeah. And that was not the
Let me tell
case.
you, single mothers are amazing, right?
Absolutely.
They have these interesting ways of teaching us about life. I never forget it was cold outside. I was working fast food for Wendy's, right? And I got off work. I don't know, man. Maybe 9 o'clock at night, maybe something like that, right? Maybe 10. I don't know. And my mom, I'm calling home for a ride. I don't work my shift. And I'm like, hey, mom, can you come pick me up? And this was her favorite line. This was the first time she said it, but she probably said it to me like 100 times after this.
Mm.
Boy, you better walk. It'll make a man out you.
Mm.
Yo. And she said that. So, boy, you better walk. It'll make a man out. And that was her line. Like, I'm not going to do this. This is going to create something in you, right? And it did. It caused me to save up my little dollars. And she told me if I got to a certain amount that she would contribute, and I got a car, right? You get tired of walking or riding your bike. So I don't know what your mom was trying to teach you about leaving you in the library, but I'm just saying, our parents do certain things to kind of, I guess, to get us, using the other side of our brain. So let's move forward. So you got
Well,
blood.
let me say one
Go
thing
ahead. Go ahead.
about that. I mean, I agree with you, but I also think that it's because I don't want to say just a lack of emotional intelligence, but it's the lack of looking at other options or just the inability, right? Because they weren't exposed to different ways, right? The hard way isn't the only way, nor the best way. And so, as now as an adult, I know that my mother she didn't receive a lot of the love, support, or whatever. So, you go through years of none of that, you don't have any of it to give. So I understand it. I hope that we do better, but I definitely understand. They didn't have the tools, right? Well, I
Right,
mean, they didn't have the tools.
right. And we're not saying it's right. We're just
Right,
saying
right, right.
that's what they knew to do, right?
It's just
All right.
real. Yeah.
Yeah. So growing up, you in Savannah, right?
Hmm.
And the only thing I know about Savannah is the baseball team. Um, and the one that do all the dances. What are they called?
The Savannah Bananas.
Yeah. Savannah Banana. Yeah.
I just found out about them a couple of years ago. I mean, when I was there, my uncle, like like maybe 2001 or 99, when Outkast's Whole World came out, or before that, there was a black team called the Sandats. So this Savannah banana thing, there's a little bit of gentrification going on in Savannah, but that's fairly new. So
Yeah.
that's more of
Got
new Savannah. Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. I got you. So let's talk about your decision to go to Clark Atlanta. What made you pick that school out of, you got Georgia State, you got Georgia
Mhm.
Tech, right?
Mhm.
And there's a lot of more colleges. You got more, you're not Morehouse for you, you got Spelman, right? So
Mhm.
what made you pick Clark Atlanta out of all the different schools you could have chose?
Yeah, so I was actually in high school in Virginia. At the time, I went to Thomas Dale High School. It's predominantly white, and at the time, the only black kids there were Army brats, right? Their parents were at Fort Lee. And we had our vice principal, Mr. Brown. He may have passed recently, but I think he was the first black educator in that whole county.
Oh,
But he told me one day, he said, "Hey, you ever heard of the AUC?" The HBCUs, and I was like, no, and I was like a different world or something, right? That's what I told him. Because after outside of Savannah, I had attended predominantly white schools my whole life, and then he just told me, he said, he said, check it out. I think you need to go there. And so, and he said it's great, and you can take classes on each of the courses at the AUC, regardless of where you go. And so I was interested in media at the time. I loved TRL. I loved MTV. All of that. I love storytelling. I love, Gil Scott Heron, old to new media, the old fame. And so I looked out. I knew Clark Atlanta, was the best of the best when it came to media. And writing was my thing. So media and journalism, that's what they did best. And so that's the only school I applied for. And I got it. And it was in Atlanta. And I said, hey, it would be great for me to get the education in the same town where the opportunity is. And that's how I made my decision.
Man, that was most people shoot to multiple colleges. You went you put all your peas in one pot and it worked out for you, man. That's
Mm.
determination. So what? Dom, and you already spoke to, right? I want to take a step back. Do you think that with the process of you going to different schools, because you said 12 schools from K
Yeah.
to 12, right? Was that
Mhm.
like every year, or some years it was like 2 schools in one year?
No, so some of that, maybe like three or four of that was just me transitioning, to the next grade, and that happened to be another school. But some of that is because, yeah, moving with the military or moving, I went to live with, a family temporarily while my mother was transitioning, getting stuff together. Um, so yeah, but yeah, it's like 12 schools from K to 12.
So with that, do you think that kind of fast forward your growth and learning who you are in your core? What I mean by that is oftentimes you hear people saying the best thing for you is to leave your environment to see what else is
Mm.
out there. So this way you can see what you like. So if I'm only eating chicken every day, all I know is chicken. But if I've gotten calamari, if I had steak, I get to see all different
Oh,
facets of
grits,
food
grits
and
with
understand
sugar.
what my palate. Say again?
Oh, grits with sugar.
We're not gonna go there. All right. So moving forward. Matter of fact, let's pause this real quick. Bianca, how do you like your grits?
Not with sugar.
All right, there we go. All right, there we go.
Bro, hold
So
on, hold on. She
now,
said,
now,
hold on, hold on.
what?
Did you listen? Because you know, I'm a great listener when I choose to be.
Cheese, butter, little,
Did
little
you
salt
did
and
you
pepper.
hear what she said though?
She said not with sugar.
Majority of her life, she went to school to white schools.
This don't got nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Did you hear her, bro? Did you hear what she said? The
So you trying
majority
to
of her
say,
life. Okay, that's it. That's your
See,
okay,
answer.
I went to white school, so I experienced the bad too. See, so I know what's right. I know right from
she
wrong.
knows about Sarah's sandwiches and all of that. Come on.
No, she do not,
All
bro.
right.
She got dropped off the library in an expedition. She knows nothing about
Come
sandwiches, bro.
on,
Come on,
grits and
let's
salmon
keep it 100.
croquette. That's my favorite breakfast.
Okay.
Oh
Oh,
man,
oh, you went
let's
fancy.
keep it
Okay. All
100.
right. All right.
Oh,
You're not.
y'all not from the South.
Okay. I'm not. I'm from Jersey. So
Okay, yeah.
do you feel like being in those different environments allowed you if it allowed you to learn yourself because you got to learn the things you did and did not like because you had to try to adapt, I'm sure, in earlier stages and then finally realize I'm tired of trying to conform to what the standard is in these different schools. So it allows you to be able to learn what you are and who you are and what works for you, which I think, as you mentioned, tied to emotional intelligence. So did that help influence your decision for going to Clark, right? Because you didn't have a plan B, a C, or D. You went A, and it's gotta work, right? And I feel like that's where the entrepreneur mindset it comes from. It comes from this is the plan. I'm only executing this plan because this is where my heart is at. Some people get wavered, right? I was just listening to church the other day. The example he gave was like somebody walking like a animal running across the street and they get stuck like a deer in the headlights by the oncoming traffic and they never make it. It's like analysis paralysis, never make it across the street to their destination. You didn't get distracted by anything. And I'm wondering if all those different schools you went to helped influence that.
I would say yes and no. So part of it, I would say stability is important for any development, especially for a child. But I will say that it putting me in different environments helped me see, like you said, the different people and where I fit in, and that I can't satisfy any group. And so, hell, I'm going to be me 24/7. But also, kudos to my mother because even as a young child, she let us be ourselves and speak our mind. Like my mother used to, she would wake us up at 3:30 in the morning, drop us off at our aunt house, go work 16-hour shifts. And so we lived in Nottingham on the south. South side, whoever's familiar with Savannah knows that it's like a black working class. And we got dropped off in West Savannah, which is the middle in the middle of the middle of the hood. Like people in the projects don't go there. And that's when my aunt was like, "Why are you back talking? Why are you speaking your mind, little kid?" So kudos to my mom for one, instilling in me, to be yourself and rock who you are, regardless. But I will say, we lived in upstate New York. The first time I got called the N word was by an Italian boy in second grade. Second time was in the army when I was in Washington State, driving by. And so I will say that it made me know that, hey, I'm not getting stability from anywhere else. I have to give it to myself. I need to know how to stand on all toes and be strong. So it put me in predicaments where I had no other choice.
Got it. Okay. Got it. So after Clark, you went straight to the army, right? Well, you went to
Yeah.
yeah, you went straight to the army
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that,
yeah.
right?
hmm
Okay. And was that any influence by it? Well, you did mention that because your mother went, she didn't have a college degree. You want to kind of just carry that torch and bring it a little bit further home as far as how high you could go in the ranks, or there was more to that.
Yeah, I mean, me and my brother said our whole lives growing up that we would never join the army. And we both ended up going again. He enlisted. He's out now. But I was fearless when I was younger, and I always tell people the one bad thing that I think happens with age is that you learn fear. Right.
Mm,
So when I was young, like you said, choosing Clark, only applying for one college, selling candy in high school and not caring about this, doing this and this, not caring about it. And then when I got older, I chose the army, which I was not interested in. I chose the army for stability, right? I knew I was like, "Ah, I'm about to leave undergrad. I need to make sure I'm good, even though I signed a contract offer for marketing the fall semester of my senior year, but it was a decision out of stability, right? Because I had learned fear and I was concerned. And, for my upbringing with my mother, I'm like, I want to make sure I'm good. And so it was a decision out of fear. And who knows, some years later, and here I am and trying to make a pivot into my forte, into talk, don't text.
I love how you integrating the word forte into your conversation.
Hey, I can appreciate it. Yeah.
Got you, got you. Okay, all right. So you joined the army. Um, let's kind of fast forward to where you are today, right?
Mhm.
You've created something that we plan on having on show to showcase at the Forte Experience. And can you share with our listeners and viewers what that is?
Yes, so it is Talk Don't Text, and it's a social app that connects people who are at the same venue to help improve networking. So imagine if that's just say for a club and you're a single guy, right? Some club in Vegas is using registered on Talk Don't Text is 1,000, 2,000 people in the clubs. Every profile you see on our app is someone actually in that club with you at the same time. So if you both swipe on each other, you can match and message, and then you can instantly meet because you're both at the same bar or at the same venue, right? Same for professional conferences or any other thing.
What is the radius of how far you have to be from the other people in the group to pick up on them, right? Like, is it like within 1,000 square feet? Like, how does that work, right?
hmm
Or is it
There's
by city or something like that?
no, it's no limit. So actually, ours is like super precise. So whoever that event organizer is, they go and they register their venue and they set their own radius.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
And so that radius, that's what creates that perimeter. So anyone in
Okay.
that perimeter on our app, once they hit that venue and check into it, they're in that real-time attendee pool.
So
Got it.
let's. I got a
Go-
question. I got a question for Randall. So let's before we get into the details of the app, I'm curious. What made you start it? Like, what made you create this app?
Yeah, so talk don't text was a phrase first that I had used for years, and it was about from like my first heartbreak, and I regretted like never telling, saying my feelings. But anyway, the business idea actually came after I had a near-death experience. I was driving in Atlanta. I went to visit. I was in a little two-door convertible, super light car, and this 18-wheeler was on the side of me. As I'm driving by it, there's this current sucking my car under it. And so I hit the gas to try to just go by it. And then it gets in my lane and snags me and drags me and is dragging me down the highway. And then I hit the gas to try to break away from it. And my car spins across the median. And I am just certain that I'm about to die. And like I'm looking at traffic, I was on like 85 at like 1 p.m., just
Man.
and it's a miracle I didn't get hit again. I'm looking at traffic going the other way as my car is spinning around, and it's just slow motion. It was probably like 2 seconds with just slow motion, and I'm just anticipating my death, thinking like, oh, I'm gonna hit the median, it's gonna be over. And the only thing that went through my mind is that I can't believe this is all my life turned out to be. I thought I was going to be so much more than that. That was the only thing that
Wow.
crossed my mind. And I survived that without a scratch, just a back injury. And from that, I was like, I need to be intentional. I always thought about what's my purpose, what can I do to be passionate about, and I was like, I'm gonna be intentional, sit my ass down, and I'm gonna figure this out. And I
Wow.
did.
Wow. Now, listen, we all know 85 is crazy all
Yeah.
day, especially that midday rush during lunchtime, right?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even people can't drive anyway in Atlanta, and
Mm-hmm.
so no shade is just truth, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, so this happens, and then you decide to sit down and come up with something, and talk, don't text is birth, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you to, put this together? And did you reach out to a few people as far as app creation, and how did that process come along? Or was that something you learned from Clark Atlanta?
No, no, I hated computer science. Absolutely. But no, it took a total 2 years. The first year was me figuring out, what the business was going to be about and the dynamics of it. I mean, all from YouTube, watching Harvard lectures, Harvard Innovation Lab lectures, listening to podcasts, reading articles, reading books. So a year of that. And then a year almost of working through the app development and making adjustments, and I outsourced it to an agency in India. We define apps. I've my boy Bianca over there. He's great. This team is great. Um, so yeah, really all from I built a whole app and learned about business and everything else just from YouTube and reading. Arlen Wash and a lot of other amazing Black women. Have been successful at what they've done.
So you created this, but your what was the influence effect? I understand the crash or the crash potential near death experience gave you epiphany that you want to have a higher purpose, do something more intentional with your time. What was it that said this is the thing? Like, how does this resonate with your forte, like your passion that makes you want to say, let me put all my eggs in one basket and go forth and make this thing, and this will be the satisfying thing that makes me feel like I lived my life.
Yeah, I was always, was talking with friends and stuff. In Atlanta, I was always interested in those inhibitions of how we don't tell, especially in dating, like we don't say our true feelings, right? As humans, we don't express ourselves a lot. And, because fear of rejection and a lot of other, very reasonable things. So I was always interested in that. And, friends, you talk about dating and this and that, and they talk to you about their situation. So I was always interested in like, communication, right? Going back to Matt, me being interested in media and stuff when I was younger, and writing was always my thing, telling a story, expressing myself. And so that's why my app, what it does really is it a tool that breaks down these social barriers, right? That prevents people from approaching someone else in person. Right. That's what it really does. It helps you meet new people more comfortably, right? We take out all the tech and all this other stuff. That's what it does. That's what talk don't text does. And that's what the name is really about. Because I used to always texting, you're dating someone, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever. And then that's why I was like, man, I wrote this piece and I said, what would have happened if we talked instead of text? What would have happened if I would have just told you how, you know, my crush, him at the time, who I was dating, what would happen if I would have just told him how I felt instead of just trying to downplay and play it cool and send an emoji,
Mhm.
And so,
Wow,
yeah,
wow, wow. So
that's where it came from.
yeah, got you. See, growing up for me, we didn't have the emoji. It was just a letter with one simple question: Do you like me? Circle yes or no.
I
Right?
remember that in like grade school. Yeah.
That's how we did it. So, all right. So, picture this: we're at the all white, the Forte experience. Everybody's going to be looking lovely, smelling good. Like it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be excellence from wall to wall, right? But the reality is this: there are people that sit down on their phone, not engaging, right? So, talk to us about how your app is going to allow all of our guests to engage more during this amazing event?
Right. For one, it's great for any kind of intention, right? Even though it's more of networking and a lot of professionals there, I'm sure some are single and maybe open to mingling. I'm sure it's going to be some, beautiful, high quality, vibration or whatever that BS slogan is there. So one, that's there if that's the intent. But for two, regardless, if you're standing up or sitting down, people are kind of hesitant to approach someone new if they don't have like an introduction. Hey, this my boy, John or whatever. And so where my app comes along is we bridge that gap, right? And allow that. And also when you're looking at someone, around the room or whatnot, you don't know anything about them, right? So sometimes when you come up and approach them, maybe it's a quick surface conversation and then it just ends up small talk and not going anywhere. Well, with Talk Don't Text, you're seeing their whole profile, right? Job title, company, and you can filter by job title and company and any other LinkedIn URLs or whatever they put there. So you have information, you have background on someone. So you already know, oh, I want to talk to this person about this we have in common, or we can network and help each other this, or I can provide them this kind of production or this engineering they're looking for. And people can also put that in their prompts. Hey, I'm looking to do this. I'm looking for someone to this. This is a project I'm working on. So we provide that social, we break down those social barriers, but we also are providing that information so that when you actually do meet someone, whether you're match on, you connect on the app first and meet first, you have that data and information, about them, because you're both in the same space, but you don't know anything about that cat over there. He can have all the answers to your dreams and ambitions and what you're trying to work on right now, but you just would never know.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So
Yeah.
How long does it take to set this up, right? Because I'm kind of task oriented, so I'm trying to think
Seconds.
it. But a quality profile, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining when I'm setting up an app, even when I'm setting up an app like to create a subscription, I got to put my name, my phone number. I got to
Mm-hmm.
send an email passcode, like verification to my email, and then you want something that's quality, right? Like it's kind of like similar to dating profile for like
Mm-hmm.
at the fundamental level,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you got to put in what is your likes, your dislikes, a little description about yourself, right? Like I'm pretty
come on,
sure
Black
to
Planet.
get the
Come on,
best.
Black Planet.
Yeah, but
Oh, Black
but what I'm
Planet.
trying to get at, right, is for this to work the best for you. Let's say for myself, and I'm trying to present myself to a crowd of 150 people, I got to put some time. And most people don't have the vernacular to just to off the fly type that out, right? They got to sit and think it through. So I'm wondering if it's more advantageous before you even show up to the event to have this app and already put together everything. Yeah, it could take a couple minutes, but to have that quality stand out, like, hey, I want to have strong connections. I could put, hey, I'm here to network, and then that's it, right? Yeah, that can be a few seconds, but that's something quality. It probably takes like 10, 15 minutes to really go through all the steps to have and I'm assuming there's a picture associated with it and all those other things, right? So, how do you envision that, right? When people are first coming in, somebody like such as yourself is kind of casting the vision why it's beneficial to have this app, and then they spend the first 10, 15 minutes there setting up the app before they even go full blown into the room to, is that how you envision that to work?
Yeah, definitely. I would say it's definitely more ideal for people to have it set up before they even get there, right? So when you
Okay.
walk in, you can already start socializing. You see a familiar face or not, and break the ice. But probably 3 to 5 minutes to set it up, I
Okay.
would say, or 3 to 4 minutes to set it up. You don't have to leave the app once you start. And we have three prompts already to kind of help people out. Hey, these are you can find me on social at here, looking for this. And so what we did is we only requested data that we absolutely needed to have. So
Yeah.
we wanted it to be as quick as possible to go through it. But I will say, I have a B to C business model, right? So meaning that it goes from talk, don't text. I work with another business and then their end users, right? I acquire my customers from their end users. And with that being said, that's why it's important to have that buy-in from that other business, because I need them. The best outcome happens when they push it to their following or their attendees in advance.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So we again try to make it as frictionless as possible on the website talkdon'ttext.com. what would happen is a venue would go to our website, hit register venue, you put in your venue, right, name, address, set your radius or whatnot. It's free. It immediately pops up on the app. You can literally hit submit on that venue once you add it, make it active, and open the app. You'll see it from the drop down menu. And then on our website, you can download the QR code signs. So when people scan it, it'll download and has a little, talk, don't text on it. Set that up in your entrance or, little QR codes around wherever your event is.
Yeah.
And also we have some, social media content that you can share, in advance to your following or, in your event email, if that's however you're communicating. It's because again, it has the best outcome. It's advantageous for that venue to
Yeah.
get as many people as possible to have the best experience because it really can, be something beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. We
good.
need that. We need that video, that promo
Oh yeah,
video. For
absolutely,
sure.
absolutely. There was something that you had sent in the what was messaging back and forth
Hmm.
about, I guess, like premium features, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
talk to just, for those that are watching and they may be interested in getting the app for their event. Let's say it's something for InvestFest. Let's say there's something for, any event that's happening, right? Talk to us about your packages, right? Because I'm sure you have like different packages for the users. So can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so we have an enterprise option, which would be more of like a white level option dealing with like enterprise co-working spaces that maybe they want to adopt our tech onto their app. But as far as the end users, we have a freemium model, so it's completely free to use the app. However, there's some premium filters, right? Similar to dating apps. So like InvestFest, for an example. You can pay $2 and it unlocks those premium filters for 24 hours. And what's great is that you'd be able to, again, filter by job title and company. So the job titles and companies that people put in when they make their profile, if I'm at InvestVest and I need a back-end coder, I need a financial advisor, I need a commercial real estate broker, right? I don't want to waste my time swiping through all these different profiles. I want to filter for that. Boom, let's talk. Hey, what's up, so and so? Again, there's a high five button, which is kind of like, if we're using a dating app reference, it's like a super like, right? That's $2. Hit it. If you don't want to wait to see if they want to network or connect or socialize either, hit that, to let them know. So it's really to save time, right? Because it's all about improving, and removing those barriers from us socializing. And so those premium filters are just extra time savers.
Right.
Got it.
So all of our guests, you're gonna unlock those premium filters. So our guests will
Absolutely.
do that, right? And here's the reason I'm asking that, because the reality is this, and you nailed it on the head. There are the majority of our guests, I would say, is single, right? But and Randall knows this to be true. I'm normally the guy that's trying to get everybody on the dance floor, right? Like I'm gonna get you on the dance floor. So how can the app help me to get the guys? Because ladies don't have a problem. Like they be dancing by themselves because guys just don't be approaching them to dance with them, right? How
Uh-huh.
do you use the app to increase litness on the dance floor?
So let me tell you how I'm gonna make your job easier.
Okay.
So it's not going to be you getting the guys on the dance floor. It's going to be the ladies getting the guys, making the guys want them to get themselves on the dance floor because they're going to use talk, don't text in the beginning because they're single and they're interested in a woman that they see, but they're too scared to approach them. So they're going to use talk, don't text first to connect with the ladies. And then the ladies going to say, I want to dance. And they're going to have their behind on the dance
Oh,
floor with the
okay.
ladies.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's
All right.
how
I
that's
like
going to
that.
work.
That's a good answer. That's a good
Yes.
answer. Real good
Gotcha.
We're gonna help the fellas. Yes.
Okay.
Got you. So Bianca, what do you envision? We always ask, right? This is where you at today, right? What do you envision for Talk Don't Text 1 to 5 years from now?
Yeah, and so right now I'm looking to work with the DC government to do a rollout citywide, to be the app actually for Events DC. So for everything that comes to the convention center. But what I see long term is Talk No Text, or really our technology, being a secondary method outside of the phone, like a new method of what's normal for how it's normal for people to communicate. And so there's these things called innovation districts, that's been popping up across the world, for the past years. And it's kind of like those work, eat, play little areas, right? Um, and so I envision in those as, hey, people start wanting to like localizing their living or living in these small districts and want to start communicating and being, especially post the pandemic, what the data shows is people want to come out, people want to socialize, people want to meet. And so Talk Don't Text is great for that new way of life and that new need. And unfortunately that inherent social, barrier that us humans have in, approaching and chatting with each other. So that's how I see it, it's just being another way of communicating that's normalized, whether you're in a park or whether you're in this festival or if you're at this conference, anywhere you go, we built it very scalable for anyone to go and set up their venue. Anywhere you go, you just are, everyone has talked on text and they're just checking into that new venue that they're in at that moment. That's
Wow.
how I picture it.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's dope.
That's awesome.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
I
can see
just
spouses too. Family reunions.
All of that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Family reunions. You got a lot of people that you don't know, right? Matter of fact,
Mhm.
our next family reunion, we using Talk Don't Text.
Hey, there
We
we
using
go.
Talk Don't Text. We're
There
gonna
we
put
go.
that
Who's
down.
that cousin? Look at us right
Yeah,
now. There
there
you
you
go.
go. We're using Talk Don't Text at our family reunion. So family, I know y'all watching. Family in Philly, family in VA, family in North Carolina. We using Talk Don't Text. Right? You gonna get to know your peoples. All right. There
Come
you
on.
go. There you go. While you eating your sugar and your grits. All right.
Hey, I'm gonna put that on my profile. Don't come swipe and like me if you eat sugar and grits. That's gonna be part of it. If you sugar and grits, just skip over that.
Man.
Skip over my
But
profile.
nah, Bianca, this is amazing, right? This is amazing because
Patent approved, patent published.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh
love it. I love it. I definitely. I'm looking
Yes.
forward to it. I'm looking forward to presenting it to the guests. I'm looking forward to seeing interaction, and it also helps. The whole goal. What the hell I'm saying? The whole goal of the networking event is for people to be able to foster conversations
yep.
that is taken outside of the Forte experience, outside of the room, and then it goes on, right? And that's how the Forte experience grows. As people say, "Hey, I met this and this and this person," but first you got to be able to meet and talk to the person. And I
Well,
love
first
the
you got to
idea of
show
closing
up.
it.
First you got
Yeah,
to
you
get a
got
ticket,
Yeah.
yeah,
be present.
Yes, I'm giving.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
giving.
yeah, yeah.
So where can I get the tickets, bro?
Listen, they can go to www.thefortecommunity.com. www.thefortecommunity.com. Go get your ticket. Hey, brother, next week. We're
It's
gonna
next week. Yo, we are less than 10
man,
days away from the Forte
that's
experience.
brother.
April 26th, DC, the Wharf. You don't got a lot of time to get your all white, mind you. All white's kind of hard. I just came from the mall looking for all white to make sure I was ready. I'm a host, so I got to show up right. And
Man,
it's going to be hard. So if you haven't already gotten your all white put together, you
still
need to
got
go
time.
to the mall
You still
now.
got time.
You don't got time. They don't got time. You need to go today. Today. The day that you
Today,
watching this, you
tomorrow,
need to go.
or wear what you gonna wear to Easter if it's white. Like,
He in Atlanta. He already got an all white
yeah.
outfit.
Just make sure that y'all gonna be in the building. All right. And listen, there's gonna be some amazing people there, right? I mean, think about some of the amazing guests we've had on the Forte podcast,
Yep.
right? I'm talking from engineers to real estate investors to Esquire after Esquire to come on, Randall, help me out. I don't want to miss anybody. We don't have
Bro, we got a full gamut. I don't want to miss out. I don't
yeah.
want to mess it up, right? Just know one, if you don't know, you need to go to the Forte community, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music,
All that,
and be able to
all
listen
that.
to all of
Yeah.
our episodes. And
Yeah.
then you'll know who you're gonna meet.
Who's
But
gonna be
before you do that, because it's gonna take you a while, go to www.thefortecommunity.com and get your tickets today.
Talk, don't text, baby. Talk, don't text. Talk, don't
Bianca,
text.
we appreciate you coming on
Text.
here.
Listen,
We
we
appreciate
want
you
y'all
reaching out
talking.
about this great opportunity that you're about to present to our guests. I think it's going to be a game changer. I think it's going to be the thing that just further catapults the conversation of what the Forte experience is able to bring. So we keep on elevating. And I love to be able to say that this is the exclusive form of communication for the Forte experience.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, I'm saying it. I don't want to. It's going to be said. As a matter
There
of
you
fact,
go.
Yeah.
get us these video content so we can start pushing that via social media.
We're gonna push it. We're definitely gonna push it, and we're gonna talk offline too because I got something else I wanna ask you because you mentioned something. So we're gonna talk offline. But listen, y'all, we out of here, man. Bianca, we thank you so much. One more time, how can people get in contact with you before we close out?
At Talk Don't Text on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok.
Got you. Simple and easy.
There you go.
All right, Forteers, we out of here.
We out of here. Talk, don't text, baby. The Forte.
All right. Bye.